Alright you guys, and welcome back to another video. And today, I wanted to talk about all of the new features and spoilers really coming to Star Citizen. There was a huge leak about all of the things that's coming to Invictus, right? The Invictus patch and the content surrounding that. And so I wanted to go over that. So right at the start of this video, I want to give you guys a spoiler warning. This video will cover all of the leaked information that's been coming out recently about Invictus and the upcoming features coming to the game. So we're just going to dive right in. There is actually a lot of stuff to cover in this document. Someone on Reddit was nice enough to kind of put everything into a condensed list, so I will leave this Reddit post linked in the video description below so you guys can check it out as well. But we're going to go through this whole thing together, so if you don't want to do that, hey, you can just watch this video and you don't have to worry about it. But I always like to add that stuff in there to promote the user that generated this content initially, to kind of support them. So you can upvote this if you want to share it as well. So kick things off, 4.1.1 Evocati data mining and other nodes asteroid bases. This is the complete breakdown. Starting off, Fleet Week, Invictus 2025. It goes by Fleet Week among the community often, but its official name is Invictus, of course. May 15th to the 27th at Area 18, they will have an Idris tour, Area 18 rooftop. Now again, I want to say that this is data mined information. It is not confirmed that any of this stuff will actually happen when it's supposed to, as outlined in this document. We're just going over what people were able to find, and we're essentially taking their word for it, right? Possible ship displays, a flyable stance attack. Now this is something that I believe is very much possible, because we've seen it from the monthly report from last month that this ship was kind of close to its final review. It's kind of no surprise because it doesn't really have any blockers, and the stance max is already in the game, and it was available for sale last time. So it is very likely very far along, right? Likely display is the stancer build. This wasn't for sale last time. It was on concept, but it wasn't for sale on concept. So they showed us a little bit about updates about it, but they didn't actually allow us to pick one up. So it does seem like this is further along, because it's going to have base building, and that feature is not fully in the game yet. So it makes sense that this would be a hollow viewer type thing. But this will be the first time we'll see it in a hollow viewer situation. Flyable, which is interesting, is the Anvil Paladin. Now this just went on concept. Usually CIG likes to keep ships in concept a little bit longer than that before they go straight to flyable, but there's nothing holding this ship back. It is just a gunship. It doesn't have any special features except the rail mounted gun turret, but other ships already have that, so that's not really a technical hurdle that they have to deal with. This is going to be exciting for a lot of people. Again, I kind of see this as a two-person heavy fighter, but it's going to be bigger and beefier than that. So there are going to be some scenarios where a ship like this is very enticing for players. People, playing together, going to have a lot of DPS with a ship like this rather than taking out two fighters. Maybe you want the shields and the heavy armament. But if you compare it again to something like the Andromeda, is it really the way to go? I don't know. Those size 5s are very good if you're a solo pilot. It really is going to come down to how the ship handles in space and atmosphere. Then we have a new version of the Mirai Guardian, the Guardian MX Heavy Ordnance Missile variant. This is, I guess, kind of similar to the Fury MX missile variant. So essentially you have you'd lose, I guess, the size 5 guns, and you would get extended missile racks. kind of like that Talon variant. Then we're going to talk about new size 12 and size 10 torpedoes. Okay, each of these new torpedoes come in cross-section, electromagnetic, and IR variants. We got the bearing executor size 10 torpedo, the Talon Vanquisher size 10 torpedo, the bearing executor size 12 torpedo, and the Talon Calamity size 12 torpedo. Okay, new flight combat tutorial missions. This is very exciting in my opinion. Something I've talked about a lot in the past before. These types of tutorial things kind of gives new players that linear progression scale, a path that they can go down. Because again, Star Citizen is a big game and you might not know what to do when you first get in it. Many players, the first thing they try to do is finish that tutorial, get to the space station, take a mission, do some type of combat, make some kind of money. But it's hard to kind of picture what else you do outside of that, especially if you don't have friends to play with. So this kind of gives you some type of goalpost to attain, right? Called Gilly's Pilot School, this appears to be a reintroduction of the flight combat tutorial. As of this moment, there are 9 different variations of missions. These missions are available in the PU and feature the previous tutorial voice actor leading the player to various combat training scenarios held at newly implemented asteroid base locations. Note the initial PTU patch has these failed to spawn enemies on arrival. So basically, I guess this is Evo Cardi testing some of this and it not completely working. But if you guys don't know about Gilly, he was initially the flight instructor. There is a video that I will leave linked in the description as well if you want to see what that originally looked like. Again, I'll leave it linked in the description. Ship wave attack. Then you have Gilly's Pilot School number 1, single hostile targets. 2, multiple hostile targets. Hostile target priority. Stealth ships, mission and countermeasures, large multi-crew ships, multiple shields and long-range targeting, multiple very large multi-crew ships and backup, then end-game Polaris ship with escort battle, right? So you're going to be put in different varying difficulty situations where you're going to have to go up against different things. That's again going to rank 1 to 8, but the ship wave attack I think might be some kind of like area to get your bearing. Now we saw this in Squadron 42 where the player is in this kind of immersive scenario where they get in the turret and they are gonna on the ship and they fight off waves of Van Duel. So I think CIG could do this very well and make players really like it if that Squadron 42 prologue or what do you call it, the beginning part that they showed at CitizenCon, it seems like they can do they can do this very well. New Wakelow rewards: Aegis Saber Firebird War Special, Aegis Saber Panagrade Speedy Special, Crusader Intrepid Work Special, Starlancer Max Work Special, Zeus CL Work Special, and Zeus ES Work Special. Now, I think the Work Special versus Race, I think these are skins. So that's going to be very interesting for anyone who wants to pick up in-game rewards. I think that's a good direction that CIG is moving in. I like making money as an industrial player, but I also like seeing, players being able to strive for different things because it gets people doing things. And when people are doing different things around the game, makes it feel bigger, makes it feel more alive, right? And now that the servers are larger as well, it's going to be nice to show up a location and see people doing stuff. So that's going to be really interesting. Race to Regen global event. Now the global events have been getting a little bit better in my personal opinion, so this might be a little bit interesting. Previously we mentioned a Referral driven mission to collect worm eggs to solve the ongoing regeneration crisis. It appears they're intending to have various Stanton corporations compete to solve the problem, which law has implied will provide benefits to the leading corporations in some way. There's a player and system-wide count of the contributions made to progress-specific research, as well as a display for a leading corporation. So basically, it seems like this is another faction gameplay scenario, kind of like what was previously done, where instead of gang factions, you'll choose company factions, where you have to work and do missions for a specific company, and the group of players who do the best work for that company will win, and so on. I think that's kind of a good idea. So if one company's rewards or their story or their lore seems better, more players might gravitate to that one. But another company, those players might work harder and get more resources. So I think that might be very interesting. Again, that would be something that they can expand on the story. I think story is taking a big part of the game's actual live experience, versus just testing stuff out. And in my opinion, it also gives CAG an opportunity to test out doing different seasons and ongoing events. After 1.0 comes out, just like any other MMO, right? There's going to be introduce a little bit of story content here and there, and live evolving storyline scenarios just like this, where the developers and the narrative team continually adds in content to the game. And I think that's a good thing, right? It shows that the community and the developers are keeping everything healthy. And so when the game releases, we're probably going to see a lot more stuff like this, which could be a good thing. Again, you don't have to engage in any of this stuff. You could just go about mining or go about salvaging. But it's something to do if you don't have a plan in the game. Then we have ASD Pyro Research Facilities. Nothing too much added info-wise, however, some additional details confirm the involvement of radiation elements as well as general loop of irradiating eggs. So this might be kind of interesting as well. Physical scripts currency. Now I did hear a little bit about this, so let's get right into it. It seems items that seem to be intended to be utilized as trading currency for items. Currently, these physical currencies have two variants, one for the Mercenary Guild and one for the Council. Mercenary script issued by the Mercenary Guild. This script guarantees the bearer goods in trade at authorized locations as outlined in the Guild's bylaws. Its statutes 202C, 05A, not legal tender. Council script. Consider this script your reward for a job well done. While not credits, it can be traded in certain people, into certain people for certain things. Now, we've seen a little glimpse of this with the Wake Low Emporium, right? So they're adding in, I wouldn't say sub currencies, but kind of like reward tokens or different things. It seems like this will be physicalized, like an item or a key card, right? Or it might be some type of new like reputation system. I know we have the money trader, but I don't know if CAG is eventually going to make some kind of new app so you can track how much credits or whatever you have. I'm really interested to see how this actually gets implemented in the game, because it means that CAG is going to have to add in bespoke content as rewards for doing things. And this is something I've talked about a lot in previous videos, is that this game needs kind of more custom reward items, right? But it could rub some people the wrong way if these items are too useful, right? So I think again, leave your comments down below what you kind of think of this. Do you think that, you know, CIG should gate special items behind this stuff to drive people to, you know, go after getting these currencies? But because, in my opinion, especially, it only really works with either the council or the mercenary guild, I think that kind of leaves out some industrial players. But again, we don't know too much about the rewards for this stuff, but I do want to hear what kind of rewards you guys would like to see CIG implement. Then we have Hunt the Polaris. Invictus event. Frontier fighters have stolen a fully armed Polaris during Fleet Week festivities, so the CDF duly have called on the player to help chase it down. The mission has the player fight a group of frontier fighters, then set up an ambush as a transient jump point into Pyro that the FFR or frontier fighters are attempting to escape through. With said Polaris, after interrogating a member captured from the initial encounter. So this seems like another, you know, dynamic event, but kind of like a, you know, a short kind of experience, kind of more akin to when you had to board the Idris. There was a board the Idris kind of event. It wasn't like a full on dynamic event, but there was an Idris kind of going around and people could go, and this was when the Idris full interior was first introduced to the game. So now that the Polaris is finished, I feel like they're kind of taking that and exchanging it with the Polaris. Now, when it comes to the transient jump point, this is something that we haven't seen before. They've talked about it, right? But this would be the first introduction of it. I don't know if it's going to be functional or what capacity it's going to come into the game. It might just be a set piece. I don't know if the player or other players are going to be able to use it. But it might be one of those things that there's like some kind of countdown. We have to try to kill the Polaris before it can jump through it, that type of thing. In my understanding, I thought transient jump points were too small for ships as big as the Polaris to fit through. But we'll see what they say. Again, this is just, you know, data mine stuff. They will obviously make a full post explaining how, you know, transient jump points and this event is going to work out. Ambush missions. Seemingly coming sometime soon are a new variation of flight combat focused missions called ambush missions. These missions, taken either from Headhunters or Foxwell, have players lower their signatures to hiding in high emission zones to set up for an approaching group of ships. There's a mixture of fail states such as, you know, sprinting the ambush too early or allowing your target to run away. Here's some info on their difficulty. Very low risk, 1 to 3, single seat craft. I think this is kind of like a version of ship stealth kind of gameplay where maybe you have to hide out or stay in a certain region. This could be interesting, a new mission type. I like the fact that they're experimenting with different things, going out and finding the fun. If they just keep on putting out different variations of bunker missions, they're never going to really be able to build this game into what it needs to be. They need to get creative. And again, this is another thing that I've been saying for a long time. Don't know why they keep on putting out bunker missions. They need to expand the scope and just have a little bit more imagination with it, right? You can have more atmospheric flight combat missions, space combat missions, investigation missions. There's so much that you could do in a game like this, right? Take inspiration from other games. Don't, you know, just keep on recycling the same thing. And I know that they were limited from a technological standpoint, but now that silver meshing kind of shows us that NPCs are reacting a little bit better, right? Take advantage of that and really dig into creating missions that are a little bit more unorthodox. Then we have security patrol missions. In addition to ambush missions, security patrol missions appear to be on their way. These missions have a similar 6-tier difficulty curve. Players are tasked with joining a patrol route in search of enemies and their equipment, i.e. satellites. At this point, there appears to be some leftover placeholder descriptions that imply that they're testing this both planetary side and variations at asteroid locations. And these asteroid locations are just asteroid clusters that are kind of sprinkled around planets and whatnot. And really, this is kind of a good way of doing this because for performance reasons, obviously, atmospheric and planet side stuff is a little bit more fun because you have a little bit more to look at, right? Planets are very beautiful, but you will obviously have better performance in space. And if they can do the asteroid stuff right, because players are still having problems with invisible asteroids, if they can do that good, I think that these experiences could be a little bit more engaging. But I am interested to see these more at on planet side. I personally prefer planet side combat missions, ship combat missions, that is. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what this is gonna look like, because if you can take a craft and go out there and do what you have to do, I think this will be very fun for like Guardian owners and that type of thing. New mission changes and other related notes. It appears that both new security and ambush missions are introducing additional variety to various events that can occur during the mission. Ace pilots, for instance, can spawn high and loot if killed, but can also escape. Chicken ships might attempt to bail out, which, if allowed, may cause reinforcements to spawn. During patrols, various things can be spotted along the way, such as derelict abandoned ships to pick apart, as well as allied enemy satellites the players are ordered to ignore or destroy. That's interesting. Making the environment and the set dressing of these missions more immersive is another cool aspect of this update. These missions in particular have named communicators, which will have a variety of reactive voice line. Okay, so that's interesting. So you might be talking to a fixer or mission giver on your comms, giving you instructions on what you're supposed to be doing at these locations. That's huge. I think, again, making the NPCs have voice lines and that type of thing, mission givers and whatnot, that's gonna drive a lot of excitement in these missions. Stows for headhunters, dispatcher Walton for Foxwell. So that's good. So these, I guess, they're going to be not really like mission givers, but your point of contact when you're doing this stuff. So that's very good. More lore stuff, more immersion. Love to see it. New location summary. Okay, Stanton Mining Base is a privately owned mining base that has been registered with the UEE Bureau of Resource Management. No unauthorized access allowed. So these are not going to be just show up and do whatever you want locations. And they have all of the locations there. I'm not going to read through all of that. Again, I'll leave this doc linked in the video description if you guys want to check out all of those juicy details. Derelict mining compounds owned to unstable conditions. This mining compound is no longer in operation. Each have 4 unique compounds, A, B, C, and D, and those locations. And then Pyro Remote Mining Bases. This is Pyrotechnic Amalgamated's remote mining base is no longer in active operation. Caution is advised. So these more likely are going to be in Pyro. So that's cool to see them come both in Stanton and Pyro. Additional notes: Area 18 sewers. Content now municipal works. This was something that they talked about at CitizenCon. These will be instance zones, kind of like dungeons in other MMOs, where you and a crew of other players will be able to go in and do specific content without worrying about everything else that's going on outside in the world of the game. As described at CitizenCon, 2 primary layers with 3 additional segments labeled chapters. Side note, confirms previously leaked information that this is the new direction for building interiors in general, with sewers titled more properly. Now, what I think is kind of unique and interesting about this, especially with these instance zones, is it's not a big deal for convention halls, hangars, and again, municipal works, because they don't really have windows or balconies or open exterior areas that are supposedly supposed to connect to the rest of the world. Again, if you go to the starport or other locations in the game, they're physicalized in the space, so you can see other players running around outside the window, flying their ships out the window. But how do you do that in an instance zone? How do you represent players doing things outside the window when you're in an apartment? Are they going to fake that? I mean, they don't have to translate that one to one. When you're in your apartment, you could just, see a slideshow out the window. It doesn't need to be that realistic. But I'm saying, I know CIG and this game, they might want it to be like that. What do you guys think? You guys want to see what's going on outside the window actually physically represented, or do you not care? You're fine with, a pretty picture. It is a video game after all. Let me know what you guys think. A bunch of locations, various desk workers are getting a large amount of general dialogue with the player can interact with to get location information and more. Dozens of these new lines here for plenty of bite-sized conversations. That's good to hear. Molitor entries, some new localization for escape pods, Grey Cat Cav, and Anvil Paladin file inclusions. No description tiers to either this patch or Invictus as of yet. Okay, and here is just the link to the original Gilly flight tutorial that I will leave linked in the video description. Huge amount of updates. I really like to see it. I think that CIG is going in an excellent direction with a lot of this stuff. Honestly, I was kind of on the fence about the story content. I didn't know how I would like it, but I think that CIG is doing a pretty good job. The more they do, the better, in my personal opinion. Again, more players are playing and more people are spending money. If you look at the funding tracker, every month this year so far, we have been breaking records in terms of funding. And I think that's being owed to the fact that more people are playing. More people that play are the more people that will spend money. You're not going to spend money on something that you're not playing. So I think that the more people that they can get in and play actively, and spend more hours in this game, make more money in this game, in-game money, not, anything like that. But when you see yourself progressing, when you see stuff happening, when you can enjoy your armor, I know there's a lot of controversy with tier 0 and stuff like that, but people are holding on to their armor sets. When you go out there, you see way less people in the white pajama spacesuits. See people wearing their gear and enjoying their gear. That's a good thing at the end of the day. So I think that people are going to spend more money if they can do that, if they can experience this game, if it feels more like a game, if they have things to do in this game. Obviously, if the game is 30K'ing every 30 minutes and you can't make any money and there's no missions to do, and you lose all your stuff and you die constantly and there are bugs everywhere and you're getting 9 FPS, you're obviously not going to play every day, right? But if you can get 60 FPS, if you can, progress, if, when the server crashes, it restarts and you exactly where you were, right? All of these features finally coming together is making the game way more playable. CIG is going to make way more money from that. They just passed $800 million. Huge milestone. This game is making a lot of money. There's some information about their financials. Apparently they lost some money, but I think they're on the right track. And I'm very excited for the future of this game, you guys. I think that, this is going to be a game that just basically no other game can compete with. CAG just has to keep on this path and do what they can to make it happen. I know that they said there's less features this year, but I think that's honestly a good thing, because you see more people playing, you can see more people spending money, and it gives them more time to work on the features. And if they have more time to work on the features get released in a better state, and then players can enjoy it and or test it more. But again, as always, I want to hear what you guys think. What do you guys think these rewards are going to be? Are you guys excited about the stance attack? What other ships do you guys think are going to be at Invictus? There's a lot to discuss here, so tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. But that's going to be it for me in this video, you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me again. I always appreciate you guys supporting the videos, commenting, liking. It really means a lot to me. I kind of just do this YouTube channel for fun because I love interacting with you guys and seeing it grow over the past, couple of years that I've been doing this. It's amazing, right? So thank you guys for all the support. But like I always say, at the end of these videos, you guys like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Salute.